How's your arm going?
Cool. Yeah, good. Rolling over nicely, yeah. And yeah, no, it's been going not too bad.
Nice. And so the summer's sort of working out the way you'd hoped?
Yeah, I guess we always go into the season, wanting to put some good throws out there in big distances and that sort of thing. But it was really nice this season to sort of kick things off with a couple of 60s quite early in the piece, which was quite nice. I had one in December here in Hamilton, and it wasn't really expected either, which was quite nice. So it was just a bit of a pleasant surprise, and so that was quite good for the confidence moving forward into the season, which was cool. And yeah, it was just nice to be able to have a couple of 60s on the NZ soil. It's like always my big throws seem to be over in Aussie. So yeah, it was nice to be able to do that here in New Zealand.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you're training, do you really let go and train? Do you know that you're doing those big meters going into a comp?
It's funny that there's some sessions that I just know on like how the body's moving on the track and sort of where the javelins seem to be going. I know what sort of space I'm in to leading into the competitions. But in saying that, we never measure at training. We don't put numbers on throws at training, which I think is a really good thing for me. I think it's just nice to go off feel. Javelin, there's so many elements to it, right? And one of them's to be relaxed. And as soon as you start putting a number on it, you start to just try to throw the shit out of it. And yeah, often it actually doesn't really help the situation. So when we have numbers in there, I feel like I really try and just throw it with my arms. So it's quite nice for us just to sort of go by feel and rhythm and how things, how we hear my feet on the runway, those sorts of things as well. So flight of the javelin, there's so many other aspects of the throw you can look at to determine how well you're throwing. So we sort of tend to use those.
It must be tempting sometimes though, if you know you've done a good one, you think, oh, should I be measuring?
Yeah, I know. And there are a couple of times where I sort of look over to Deb and I'm like, oh, that one was a good one, and you just sort of let out a bit of excitement and yeah, it is tempting to get the tape measure out sometimes. But at the end of the day, you don't win competitions and training, and you just want to be able to get a nice surprise in the competition. So
just looking from afar and looking at the socials and that sort of thing, and just even just talking to you now, it seems like you're in a pretty good space.
Yeah, I think we've learned a lot in the last couple of years. I think in terms of my strengths and weaknesses in my training and areas of improvement for my technical model and things like that. And I think we've started to slowly find a recipe for me, I guess, in terms of my training and what seems to sort of help click for me. And but in saying that, things are always changing. I think as an athlete, we're always developing, and something that worked for Tori back 4 years ago may not necessarily work now for me. And that's I think that's something I see a lot of with my technical cues on the runway and in my throwing with Debs. We had a couple of cues that we used a couple of years ago that now we've sort of progressed those, and they're no longer cues we really need, say before a competition and stuff. It's already sort of automatic and a bit more ingrained in the muscle memory. So that's quite nice. But yeah, it's nice to, I think, you have a bit more confidence in your training when you've thrown well for the season and you've done the auto qualifiers or things like that. So I think that's definitely helped. So yeah.
So it sounds like it's all like a gradual sort of progression. Anything innovation wise in there, or?
Probably not. I guess javelin, there's so many aspects to it. We do plyometrics, we do strength, speed, power. There's so much that we do. But in saying that, my strength and conditioning coach Angus Ross, he's a bit of a genius, and sometimes he likes to throw the odd thing around in there. So I'd say some of the stuff I'm doing in the gym won't necessarily be what most javelin throwers are doing. Obviously doing Olympic lifting and the basics, but I think there'll be a few bits and pieces that people will sort of would look at if they saw me training and be like, oh, like wonder what that's for, or why is she doing that? And so, but again, like, you know, it's something that we've sort of worked with, and it's something that we've found is part of a recipe for me. You know, every throw is different, and we've sort of identified that I don't have a particular strength. I probably sit more consistently, I suppose, yeah, like good at a number of things, but not amazing at anything in particular. So yeah, so for us, it's just working with that, and sort of yeah, trying to minimize as well, taking too big a risks, and you know, in the gym or with throwing training and that sort of thing. Just keep things simple, do the basics well, and then where we need to add in a few innovative things, you know, we can. So yeah.
You probably can't give away too much of those trade secrets of those funny things you try in the gym, can you?
Oh, like, to be honest, like, I don't go like plastering them all over social media and that sort of thing, but you know, I'm not afraid to do them if I'm away at a training camp with some of the others. So you know, because like I said, some things that work for me may not work for others. So you know, they might just look at it and think, oh yeah, you know, whatever type thing, or they might come and ask questions, and that's where we're happy to share. I've been very lucky in the past that, you know, the Aussie girls have taken me under their wing a little bit and shared some of their, you know, exercises with me, and I think that's been obviously as well a really key component of my development, has been exposed to the different training that these girls do, because as I mentioned, you know, it's all different. You know, you look at a couple of the Aussie throwers, you've got Catherine and you've got Kelsey, and they're two very different throwers. They do a lot of different things in the gym. Their throwing sessions are very different, and I guess, you know, I've been exposed to both of their training, and you know, there's pieces that I take from each of them, and you know, we put things in our training, and again, it makes up the recipe for Tori. So yeah, it's quite nice to be able to have I guess that relationship with the Australians, and even in general with other throwers. You know, it's a community which is quite cool, where, you know, we're all sharing information, or really encouraging each other and cheering each other on. So it's really special to be a part of that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's really nice. As you mentioned before, you've had some really good domestic results so far. Can you tell me a little bit more about, I mean, what does that mean for the rest of the year?
Yeah, so it's funny. It's some doors can open pretty quickly when you have a good throw, and so for us, it's, you know, it's nice having done an auto qualifier for the Commonwealth Games. It's been a bit of a different feeling being on the other side of the qualifying standard quite early in the piece, which has been really nice as well. A position that we've not really been in before, one where we don't necessarily have to keep chasing things now. We can make decisions based on preparing for the championships and putting our best foot forward, which is really nice, and we're really excited about. So for us, in the next couple of weeks, I actually leave on Monday week. I leave for the Australian championships, so they're in Sydney, and then the following week I'll head to Brisbane and compete there in their Brisbane Track Classic. So they're next on my agenda, those two competitions, and then after that, I've actually been confirmed for a Golden Grand Prix in Tokyo, which is going to be pretty awesome. So that's going to be at the start of May, and we're sort of looking at that competition as sort of a bit of experience for me to compete in a big sort of setting. You know, it'll be in the Olympic Stadium probably, and it'll just be a really good learning curve, I think, for the whole, you know, travel. You're in a sort of a group with the other girls, you compete and you come home, and it's all, you know, you're on your own and that sort of thing. So we're really excited. Like, I'm really excited about that opportunity and to learn a little bit there as well. And we'll come back from that with a couple of weeks preparation here in Cambridge, and then we'll head to Oceanias in Australia, which are in June, before heading off to probably World Champs in America and then Commonwealth Games. So it's a big next few months, but we're really excited, and yeah, just really looking forward to taking all these opportunities to learn and to, you know, put it out there and see how far we can throw.
Nice. Is the Grand Prix, is that sort of in that, like the Diamond League, that sort of realm of events?
Yeah, sort of like that sort of thing, I guess. You know, it's a couple levels down from the Diamond Leagues, but it's by far one of the biggest sort of events I'll compete at to date, sort of thing, which is really, really cool. It's awesome that, I've been invited. It's sort of an invite only thing, and you got to be good enough to sort of go. And so it's really nice to be in that category. And I know that a couple of the Aussie girls are going as well, which is really cool. So again, like, it'll be awesome to be doing these things with them and be learning, learning the ropes. And Kelsey's done it all before, and she's a world champion from 2019 and bronze medalist at the Olympics. So she's got a wealth of experience in traveling and competing and that sort of thing as well. So I'm really looking forward to doing this sort of experience alongside Kels and a few others.
Yeah, that's really cool. So when you talk about like world champs and Birmingham for Com Games, like,
yeah,
how do you structure like your peaks and your troughs and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I guess that's all something that we sort of sit down and work out with my team. We've sort of identified where those competitions are in the month, and then you sort of work backwards from them, and where you can do your training blocks and that sort of thing, and where you're wanting to look to freshen up and taking into consideration the travel and when you're going to travel and all those sorts of things as well. So it's probably quite, like, it's actually not too bad with the World Champs and Commonwealth Games being only 2 weeks apart. I mean, like, if you look at our New Zealand domestic season, everything's pretty close anyway, and often we are competing every couple of weeks. So it's not too bad. It's probably more so the fact that there'll be big time differences and that sort of thing to adjust to, going from America to Birmingham and that sort of thing. So I think it's just going to be a bit of careful planning and taking just on plenty of advice from others who have done it before. And like I said, we are pretty new to this, to all the sort of like travel competing sort of stuff, and really eager to learn and to sort of know how it all works. And because it's pretty cool, I guess, like the whole like European circuit type thing, how they travel and compete, and they're all sort of in their little groups, and you sort of bounce around a bit. And so it's definitely something that I want to do and be involved in. I think that it'll be awesome to be mingling and throwing against the other girls as well. So sort of just looking forward to testing the waters on that space with the travel and compete. So yeah,
and obviously international travel is a wee bit different these days, isn't it? It's a little bit more complex.
It is very, and I've actually just been trying to figure all that out at the moment. Even just getting to Australia isn't as easy as what it used to be. You just used to pack your bag, jump on your plane, and make sure the javelins get there. But there's so much to it now, and I'm sort of just sitting here like, man, I hope what I'm reading is I've interpreted it right, and hope I don't get to the airport and then get turned around because I haven't done my COVID test the right one or whatever. So yeah, it's just, there's a few more things now, a little bit more admin. So we're just, I'm still just trying to fix it. We'll sort of like, I suppose, confirm all that stuff up this week for leaving on Monday to Aussie. But yeah, it's nice to be able to travel again, and it's nice to be able to know that we can come back into the country without any MIQ and all those sorts of things. But yeah, travel's just not what it was, and I think it would be a long time until it does get back to what it was.
Now, have you done a World Champs before?
No, so I've not represented New Zealand for a black singlet event yet. So World Champs and Commonwealth Games will be my first black singlet event. So I haven't auto-qualied for the World Champs yet, but where I'm sitting in the rankings is looking pretty favourable for being selected. So all going well. We're at World Champs as well as Commonwealth Games, but yeah, it's going to be awesome to sort of compete on the big stage. It's always, the goal is to wear the black singlet, and that there's such a big event, and there's so many other components that contribute to you performing, and going away with a team again, or with Commonwealth Games it'll be in the village and all those sorts of things. So again, there's a whole nother element to it, to competing well. It's how well you're resting, not taking on too much of the noise of the village and those sorts of things. So there's a few bits and pieces that I haven't experienced before at all, or haven't experienced for a while. So it'll be sort of refreshing, I guess, to be back in that environment.
What do you think it's going to be like when you get that black singlet for the first time?
Oh, look, it'll be pretty cool. Like, to be honest, it's, like after last year, obviously it was pretty devastating not to go to Tokyo, but we put in a lot of work from then, and like I said, we've learned a lot. So, I think once you get presented you wear that black singlet, it just sort of, I think, you sort of know that all that hard work is paying off. So yeah, I think that's more so what I'm looking forward to is, wearing it with pride, and hopefully putting out a good performance as well.
Absolutely. What does, I guess, if you could jump in your crystal ball and look ahead to a few months' time, what's a really good result?
For me at the World Champs, I'd love to make the final. Love to be up there in the top 10, and be throwing, and be there with a good throw. Not because everyone else has had a bit of a shocker. So and then Commonwealth Games is to be on that podium. I think I've got a really good shot at being on that podium, and all going well, stay fit and healthy, and keep training well. Then I think I've got a really good shot, and it's nice. It'll be with the Commonwealth Games, I guess there's the Aussies in there as well, and sometimes it's really nice to have those familiar faces at the big competitions, or just at competitions. I think it helps take the pressure off the size of the competition, almost, because it's someone sort of familiar, and you've got them, and I guess you're not just your own little lonesome self out there. I'll have a chat with the girls as well, so I think that'll help, definitely help for in the Commonwealth Games.
That's awesome. Hey, well, all the best.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's just, I guess, great to get that, get what you deserve, get that opportunity, get out there and do it.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. But I guess it's just, it's still a while away yet, and we know there's lots of things on the, on the agenda in between times. So for us, we're just sort of taking it a month at a time, and especially with the way the world works at the moment, there's so many things that are changing, and there's a lot of moving pieces all the time. So it's very hard to plan ahead like we used to be able to, and so very much only sort of plan a month at a time, and then we sort of I guess it was like after nationals, we sort of waited until after nationals as to what we would do about it going to Australia and all that sort of thing. And then so I guess after Aussie we'll just and after Japan we'll sort of look to make a few more decisions about how early we want to go to America and things like that as well. So for the meantime we just keep the focus a bit more immediate in front of us, and not get too caught up in little dreamland of what's going to be in the next few months. But it's all pretty exciting.
Where do they have Oshies?
Oceanias are going to be in Australia this year, again, but in Mackay instead of Townsville. So Mackay sort of in between Brisbane and Townsville there. So a really nice new track that they've got there, new facilities. So it'll be awesome to go there and compete. And we're sort of doing that with the intention of holding some really good points for next year for World Championships, and helping with qualifications for all of that sort of thing. So as much as we look, just a month at a time and stuff, we also have to take into consideration that, the points sort of hold from these big competitions, for next year. So I think originally, we sort of didn't really think that much of Oshies, but we were like, oh wow, actually, we sort of remembered that contributes to World Champs for next year. So you sort of got to make sure you're always sort of thinking a little bit ahead, but also trying to keep yourself in the present as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was trying to think, you've thrown quite well up in the north, like in Darwin and stuff, but then you've thrown well in Canberra, and you've thrown well.
Well, that's the thing. Like we went up to Townsville, and I had a couple of 60s there, which was really cool in June last year, and that was into some particularly tough wins. So it's nice to know as well that I've been able to throw those 60s in tricky conditions, I guess. But I don't know what it is about Aussie. I think it's just I do think it's it's great to go over there. It's a lot warmer. It's nice to throw over there with the other girls and that sort of thing, and have really good competition. But I think it's also the fact that when I go over there, I know I'm full javelin mode, and there's not a lot of other distraction. Whereas here I've got a job, and there's a lot of other noise going on, I guess, and you know, sometimes it just takes your attention away from the job at hand, and you know, it's just life. It's just life. So when I go to Aussie, it is really nice. I really get to, you know, train well, I recover well, and those sort of things. And I guess that was one thing that became really evident to me, was just how important that recovery was. So usually, you know, when I'm here in New Zealand, I train and then I go to work, but going to work is like the same, doubles up as my recovery time. So sometimes if I'm really busy at work, it's actually not any recovery that I'm getting in, you know. So whereas when I'm in Aussie, I train and then we go back home and we literally recover. You know, we've got the Normatec boots on, or we're going to the recovery centre and all those sorts of things, and we actually do just chill out, and I'm away from work. So it is really nice. And yeah, like I said, I think that just really showed through the importance of recovery for me, particularly during competition season, where, you know, you are at that higher end of exertion of everything you're doing. You know, you're a bit more neurally fatigued, and tapping into those things a little bit more often with competition. So yeah.
Awesome. Oh, that's fantastic. Hey, all the best. Thanks very much for your time.
Yeah, that's all good. Thanks, Nathan. Thanks for having me.
Right.